Hello there guys, my name is JODA and welcome back to another episode of EGS, where today I am looking at 3 ships that I have created, and they're just sort of in the same sort of theme as the Lanvier was. So if you don't know what the Lanvier was, it is a dropship that I created off the back end of the U-Wing fighter, which I also created in Empyrion. And I decided to create some other things that kind of are variants of a certain ship I also built, as well as 2 completely new things. So, just take you through them really. I mean, the 2 of them are small ships, and then the other one is a hovercraft. So the first one, which is the hovercraft, this is the Shadow Tank. This is a variant of the Republic fighter tank that I did, and I wanted to basically pimp it out. It's got quite a nice bit of space in it, to be honest, to actually utilise well. So what I've actually done is I went through, redesigned the armour so it actually has some slopes on it, so if that was ever a thing where it deflected shots because of the slope on the armour and whatever else, it would actually deflect something. And then the front has been sort of remodeled as well. I tried to, it kind of looks like something out of Warhammer or something. If that's if you guys can see the resemblance, I'm sure if I painted this thing blue it'd fit in really well. But no, so I gave it 2 Gatling cannons facing forwards. I didn't give it a top hatch or anything like that, and I also didn't give it what would you call it, a shutter. The reason why shutters are a little bit weird, and I didn't really like them, and it kind of looked a bit ugly, so I kind of left it open. I know it seems a bit dangerous, but I have put a force field in, so this can be airtighted. Now I could put shutters in for that, but I don't know why I've left it open, to be honest. My hope is that obviously these are just land assault vehicles. They're pretty cheap to make, so you just sort of attack, and if anything does attack you from the top, then yeah. But in the future, the force fields that do block off and create an oxygenated area will also be able to deflect shots, which will be good, because that means then that actually acts as a force field, which will be really cool. I've then got 2 guns on the side as well, which can pivot and all that gubbins. There isn't, I did try to fit somebody else in here, like a seat for a co-gunner or something, or a gunner seat, but I couldn't fit anything into the small footprint that is this craft. Now the one thing that I have done is I completely rejigged the bed of the craft, because it just didn't work really well. I also sort of tweaked a few things, and again, it's just the general interior is a bit different. We've got a vent in there now, so it actually pumps out oxygen in. And we have some, we have basically everything in here. We have your reactors, your fuel on the other side, oxygen on the back, and then we have some ammo stores, which again, it's all really confined and cramped. But one thing I didn't like about the Republic fighter tank is because we can't get stand-up gunning seats or platforms in the game, I had to sort of make do with having a gun set straight in the middle of the ship, and then sort of make believe that you can stand there and shoot it. So I took that off altogether, and I just got rid of it and just had it so it's just a one-guy ship. It's very cheap to lose these things now. They don't really take too much to make. I mean, I think the level's quite high on them. I mean, the level to build them is 15, but they're still not bad considering. I mean, you can build these relatively quickly. There's there's a lot of standard blocks in this, and if you did it in a factory, I mean, how long would it take in a factory? It would take you 30 minutes in a factory to produce this, which isn't too bad at all. There's 1,220 triangles, if that's any use to anyone, and that's just giving it a general size. It's 295 blocks, so it's under 300 block limit, and it's, well, I say block limit, I gave myself a limit, and yeah, so I've done pretty well, I think, and I hope you guys like it too. I will be putting this to the workshop like everything else here, and hopefully you guys enjoy that. It's really good to sort of skip over things, but it does wobble on too bumpier terrain, so just take it careful like you would with any other hovercraft. And before I go anywhere, I'm actually going to jump in this, and I'm actually going to sort of whiz it around a bit. So actually it does pick up speed. I managed to hide the thrusters quite well inside here, so you can't really see them. You can see them when you fly, but it's not too bad. I mean, I just hit a flower. But it's not too bad to fly and whatever. It's pretty quick, to be fair. And again, it does just skip over things, but because it's quite flat and not too tall, it has nothing really to stop it from tipping over. So if it tips, it tips, and you kind of have to wiggle to free it. Which, yeah, good luck doing that. The next one we're moving on to is called the Skyfighter. Now that is kind of a play on the TIE Fighter, being as that one was from a set, the pair that I made for Star Wars. I kind of thought let's just, you know, call it something similar but different. I'm actually just going to drop in the Lanvier as well to show you what sort of similarities they all share, which is mainly just a colour scheme and paint job. But as you can see, that is the Lanvier for anyone that hasn't seen it, and that is the ship that I sort of customised from the U-Wing. But yeah, the Skyfighter. It's a quad wing fighter. It has massive engine compartments on the side. Tried to do some work with the wings, and I actually realised that wing sections now can be painted, which is fantastic. And yeah, I kind of just slapped it together and wanted to make sure the guns were as central as possible, because fighter jets, the sort of the main guns that bother the other crafts in dogfights, tend to be the centralised guns because they're easier to aim. So yeah, I kind of stuck the rocket launcher and the machine guns sort of central to the ship, giving it this nice point that sort of merges into this. And I like this cockpit, to be honest. I never knew, I knew it existed, but I've never used it. I never knew how to use it. So yeah, I messed around with that and got it good. And it can go fast. It can go faster forwards than it can backwards, which is great. But it can break really quickly because obviously we've got these large large thrusters that are being powered by all the reactors inside it. And yeah, I mean, it is a really decent flyer, to be fair. It's a little bit slow on turning, but for what it is, I mean, it is a fighter. Yeah, you'd want it to be a bit fast, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think anything's going to compete with this in terms of getting up to speed relatively quickly, because if I actually just take off here and floor it, I mean, we're already up to full speed, so I've kind of just overkilled it with the amount of thrust on the back, but it does sort of whittle around quite quickly and stop quite quickly, so it's a pretty decent ship to fly around and bother people with. And I'd like to think you could use this to maybe take on some bases and maybe some enemy drones and things. Might be a bit overkill for the drones, but it might just be enough for a base to sort of fully kill off a base. So as I horrendously land it, I'm going to hop out in a second. I'm just going to tilt it back a little bit. There we go. And yes, that's a Skyfighter. Again, they all share similarities of sort of colour and paint job, which I didn't want to make them make their characteristics in terms of features the same. I wanted to do a bit of everything. And then we've sort of moved on to this, which I didn't have wing sections big enough to sort of accommodate this craft, and I wanted to make a cargo vessel similar to like a Hercules or something, but something that can carry a lot of troops or people, but in a very plain manner. So this is the I'll be honest, I built it like 20 minutes ago, part of it anyway. It's called the Druid. Can't really get my head around the name. Don't know where it come from, don't know why I called it that, but it came from somewhere and I kind of just slapped it there, hence why I keep forgetting it. It's nothing memorable to me, but it's just, yeah, I call these ships weird names, put them in the ship, and then I kind of just forget about them as I'm building. But yeah, it is a large craft, quite large, to be fair. It's got many engines, many thrusters to sort of accommodate for the weight of it. I think it might be overkill still, because EGS tends to be a bit more kinder with thrusters, etc. But no, we've got some rocket pods on the side anyway if you wanted to do some sort of bombing runs. It can't really defend itself that well because obviously we haven't got turrets that fit to small vessels. But no, if we head on inside, the interior is okay. It's not the best. Tried to do my best with the space I've got, and this is kind of the first cargo sort of plane type thing I've built, and haven't really built much plane like stuff besides the fighters that I've built and stuff like that. So yeah, this is the Druid. Now the Druid is yeah, it's built for people, and it's got 12 seats in the back, and it's just got loads of cargo storage, some screens that you can obviously put whatever you want onto, some floor lighting and ceiling lighting. If we go into the back, this is where your power is, and your O2, and obviously your gun stuff. I tried to stick all that in the rear, where there's like 2 skins of armor on the rear, so I tried to stick everything there just because it seems a bit safer doing it that. I mean, if you actually look at the armor here, I've got one block, I've got 1, 2 and then 3 to the outside, and that's on the sort of the first bit. So yeah, so I've got 2 skins of armor to protect the back, which I think is more than enough and more than capable. I've also got shuttered windows for incoming shots and flak and anything else that want to try and break through the glass. These are also armoured glass, so this thing should take a beating. At the front we've got some O2, an O2 dispenser and some fridges just in case the passengers get hungry more than anything else. But yeah, inside the front we have a cockpit for 2 pilots, pilot and a co-pilot, and then just like a navigator come sort of systems operator who can turn things on and off inside the vessel as we're flying. Sort of the more unnecessary things like just paring down bits and bobs of the craft just to make sure that it runs as efficiently as possible, I guess. So yeah, so if we shut off the door, note that there is a door in between the cockpit and the sort of the main cargo hold as such. Yeah, it's all sort of fitted out, so you shouldn't have to go back here. Well, these guys here shouldn't be able to get back here, so that's how it's designed, and I like it because it's very conventional, plain sort of looking, and the view from the cockpit is actually pretty damn good. You get a pretty nice sweep of absolutely everything. However, I do like to fly it in third person like most things. So if we take off with this, it is very slow to sort of get off, but it's a cargo plane. It's very much your Hercules of EGS, basically. That's what it's designed to be like. The only thing I do miss is the fact that there's no sort of there's no aerodynamics or anything at the moment. I really want EGS to add some aerodynamics to the ship, so when I do stop, rather than the thrusters stopping me in mid-air, I would like to perhaps fall and everything else, and the wings to sort of have some aerodynamics to them, so that I fall but I also sort of glide, because that's what would happen. I wouldn't just fall out of the sky. Probably become a point if I hit my brakes long enough that I would just fall straight down, but with some speed, I'm hoping that, you know, I think I could get a glide on with this ship. It's pretty heavy, but I'd like to think I could. And as I'm damaging it again, flying it, it's yeah, there we go. So those are all the ships. I mean, all of these will be on the workshop. Feel free to play around with them, do whatever you want with them, mess around, use them in your worlds, build them in your factories. You know, if you do want to make a different variant of them, colour them, change them up, feel free to do so. You know, I like bits of collaboration like that on the workshop. It's really good when people do that. It's nice. But no, I mean, I'm really looking forward to properly getting back into EGS when I have a lot more time. Just because I want to build more of these things, and just building these small ships has really got me thinking of some bigger crafts. Like, I've already had some crazy ideas for a drop ship that drops ships. So the Lanvier would be like one ship of 8 that fit into a big cargo hold that delivers people and troops and everything else, and maybe like a drop pod of sorts, like the pod you drop in with in the start of the game, just maybe something like that that can just drop out of the sky and actually survive and not take too much damage. That's something I'm really looking forward to. One of the other things with the mention of aerodynamics is I really would like parachutes to be implemented in EGS, because you know, the guys at Space Engineers have actually developed and made it so the game now has parachutes and everything else, which is great for you know, really cool contraptions and drop pods. But Empyrion does have a bit more detail and a bit more to it in terms of the survival aspect of things. So if you were in a survival scenario and your ship happened to lose power, or you were gonna crash, you know, it's like, if we had more things like that in the game, it would add to the realism of the fact I've got to get to my dropship and get out of here because the ship's going to crash, I've been shot down or whatever, and it'd just be really, really cool to do that. But no, that's just my few thoughts on it. You guys leave your comments below, tell me what you think. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed these ships, all 4 of them will be linked below, including the Lanvier, and you guys can go and check them out, play with them, feel free to do whatever you want with them. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace!